Hello and welcome. This is The Paradigm Shift. I'm your host, Paul Martin, and it's been a massive weekend with a Bilderberg meeting in Chantilly, Virginia, and that's where all the elite banker cabal meet and greet and decide the future of humanity for another year. And massive turnout. Like, it's been completely blown out. The media has finally had to cover it for decades and decades and decades. They've said absolutely doesn't exist. It's a conspiracy theory, basically. So people went out there from about Thursday, where they start arriving, and at least 150 of like the world's elite richest people and, well, the most influential people, most likely the richest, but also like prime ministers and ministers and all kinds of government from different countries. And they all get there and decide what's in store for our future, whether they keep us as pets, whether we should die, whether we need to start forcing more vaccinations. The list just goes on, what they actually talk about. And they talk in secret, and you're not allowed to know about it. It started back in the 50s when Operation Paperclip got all the Nazis out and then had to redistribute them into all the different avenues of like all the Western nations in like England, Australia, America, everywhere. And they got into all the school systems. Basically, they took their eugenics and brought it into everywhere so we'd start having it incrementally. These are the kind of people they are. They want us dead, and they have meetings once a year to decide how they're going to do it. And incrementally, you see things get worse every year. So the actual amount of people, it was about 1,000 there at any time, but it was over 4 days, and they kept coming and going. So people couldn't make it this day working, whatever. But the amount of bullhorns and, like, normally you got Alex Jones, like the main person on a bullhorn at something like that. But there's like massive veteran Marines with like bullhorns that are like off the top of a Winnebago or something. And massive, just the whole time, just screaming at them. The police are in there. They don't care. They're guarding the actual criminals that American people in American government, they're violating the Logan Act. You can't meet in secret like that if you're elected. Like Hillary Clinton got done for that, $300,000 fine. But, of course, all the sheep are used to it. Now they just don't care, and they're doing it. So, got a list, rough list of what may come out of it. Like, these are the serious things that they're discussing, and they are really angry, mainly at Ron Paul and all his supporters. And there's a lot of them absolutely losing their mind and saying they want to kill him, but I'll get into that later. And got plenty of, actually I might go through all the headlines that I've got first. Of most of it Bilderberg. It's going to be a recap of Bilderberg and then what we got in store for the rest of the year after they've had their treasonous secret meeting. Sneering MSNBC anchor, I'm way too lazy to research Bilderberg. Is it any wonder the global elite confab avoids media scrutiny? That's a good one. This guy's absolutely hilarious. And through all these, you just see how one side's actually doing it and the other side's having to cover it now, but sneering and just doing all these complete psyops. Oh, yeah, we're covering it, but you're all still a bunch of kooks. Like this one. Conspiracy theorists join the world's elite. But you said it didn't exist. So how are they still conspiracy theorists? That means they're right. It's just retarded. Stealth mind psyop, that one. Ambush attempt on Alex Jones of Bilderberg backfires. And, yeah. The Daily Caller attempted that one, and he absolutely buries them. And then you got attempts like this. Alex Jones believes Bilderberg attendees shipping gold-covered roasted babies to eat. Well, they do. It's just he's a kook because he believes it. And, well, the mainstream media thinks they're good. They just like having them as ornaments. When these people go to Bohemian Grove and run around naked and do actual rituals of Satan with Moloch and get gay porn stars to come there and root them, and they're obsessed with, the royal family's going back the whole bloodline of Transylvania and shit. They've always been obsessed with, like, the young, and that's why they're all basically pedophiles and all that. So for them to be eating it, it wouldn't surprise me. But he's a complete kook because, yeah, he makes that assumption on it when, based on his research, that's most likely the case. Bilderberg members discuss killing Ron Paul. Yep, that's right. He's against the establishment and goes against the grain, so need to get rid of him because he's actually waking too many people up. US pushes Australia to take command of Afghanistan. Yep, so we're going to take over growing the opium. The new underbelly, which is a propaganda piece put out to acclimate us for censored internet, UN to take over for that, and that article is pretty ridiculous. And yeah, that'll just about do it for the actual headlines. So I'll go back to the actual predictions of what they're actually been talking about at Bilderberg. So some things that they actually want to go through is, and it's already come out, the UN to regulate and control the internet, force everyone into Internet 2, like pretty much tax the original internet and get everyone into the Internet 2, which is going to be a complete surveillance grid and basically set off North Korea's or China's model. Internet ID, tax your usage. Yeah, so you need permission to travel, even though that's against constitutional right to locomotion, but we're all used to having a license, getting permission from the government, and they tell us it's a privilege. No, it's a right for me to travel wherever the fuck I want. But no, we're taught, no, it's a privilege. So they want to turn that in the internet. The internet's a privilege, and we're going to tell you what you can and can't look at, and we want to tax your usage. Eliminate free speech and ban political dissonance from usage. Of course, well, mainstream media is collapsing. CNN, for their whole month, like, had 300,000 views or something ridiculous. They're basically obsolete. And yeah, so shut down all alternative media through the internet, which is just exploding. Hence why I'm hooked on to doing this myself. Now, of course, establishing their world government, their one world currency from a one world treasury, all carbon taxes to be paid directly to the World Bank. So the World Bank is going to become a private collection agency with complete diplomatic immunity. They're expanding diplomatic immunity to, like, green police and, like, all green funds and world banks and stuff like that. Different bank. Like, this is some dangerous, dangerous shit. Where was I? Yeah, and of course that money doesn't go to us. Everyone thinks that we're getting it and then having, yes, it's socialism, they're redistributing it. No, it's far worse than that. The carbon tax that we're getting is pretty much going to Al Gore, taking about $40 billion a year out of our economy. Then that money that's a hole in our economy, we're then going to borrow from the World Bank the same money back to redistribute out, but our taxes are going to owe that debt black hole, which is going to run us into the ground, and then they're going to say the answer is an Australasian financial union which will issue all monetary policy. Yeah, so can't wait for that one. 100-year one-child policies. They're really trying to push in the whole population. I went through last episode with the whole population agenda, they're switching it. But yeah, they'll be talking about expand. They did the test run of the one-child policy in China, and yeah, that was actually a testing ground for the whole world. And they're going to be talking about expanding that because there's too many filthy, filthy people. Of course, there's head pharmaceutical funds, and I got the whole list of names, but they'll be talking about mandatory forced vaccines, which is basically what they had last year, but they're getting us acclimated for that idea, so just incrementally expanding it. Whether to kill us or keep us as pets, well, that's every year. Whether to kill Ron Paul in a jet crash, that was actually the chatter from Moles Inside. Pick Mittens Romney's running mate. Yeah, his name's Mittens. Yeah, because this is where you go to. You don't get elected to be prime minister or president. You actually go to a Bilderberg meeting and you get appointed. That's your democracy that you defend. That's how they represent you. So pretty much, Obama's been there. Hillary Clinton's been there. Pretty much all of them go there, and they get approved, and they get. Who was the one that lost his mind? He was basically meant to be the man that went. One of the guys in the Republican campaign dropped out. Knew his name every day, and now I'm forgetting it. Well, anyway, he was meant to be the main guy, and he pretty much dropped out like 6th place in the GOP nomination race. Anyway, unleash their drone armies domestically worldwide. They're already doing that. They've announced they need 30,000 drones domestically worldwide to check in your backyard because they need to watch you, but of course they're a Bilderberg meeting and you can't watch them. Can you see a tyranny rising? That's what a tyranny is, yes. Expanding UN and NATO as one world army and declarer of wars. Well, they're going to... You're already seeing it now, blue helmets in Chicago having constitution-free zones at G8 summit, and there's actually blue helmets there, and they've got NATO troops. And what's going to happen? They're going to bring Australia into it. They're bringing every nation into NATO, have a one world army through the UN. Then they're going to then they declare who has the wars. So you can't say no. Anyone who's in it can't say no because they declare the wars. But what happens? So every country's in it. But what happens when they declare the war on you? Well, you can't say anything. You're a terrorist. And this is how they're going to come into every country one by one and loot them because it's a banker army. So can't wait for that one. And, well, it's not really going to be looting. It's humanitarian intervention. So that's what it is. They're going to bring everyone love bombs. And basically how to start World War III to have perpetual war that never ends so we have permanent martial law and they can start getting their 80% depopulation. And they'll do this. They're really pushing the whole thing on Syria. It came out, one of the photos that they tried to put up was actually a guy's copyrighted photo from 2002. And it was an Iraq massacre. Like, they just don't care getting caught lying, or they don't care. They're just pushing forward. They need to invade Syria, so they've got an access through Iran. You have a Bilderberg meeting. You never had the Chinese sort of higher-ups of government or anything like that. You never really had them going to Bilderberg, or the Russians, for that matter. You got Chinese and Russians now going to Bilderberg, and the head, the Syrian Transitional the head of the Syrian Transitional Council. Yeah, that's a fancy way of saying going to overthrow them. And they were the opposition, the Transitional Council. So they're figuring out how to pretty much knock them off and put their own guy in, which will be Al-Qaeda. Because now Hillary Clinton comes out and says, yeah, we're funding Al-Qaeda, but now they're freedom fighters, but we've got to take your rights away because Al-Qaeda's going to get you. Like, Just absolutely ridiculous. So they're wanting this economic collapse, but they don't want countries going out of the euro. That's giving them the shits. But they want them to stay in their baby, the euro, make them all collapse, and then bring in World War III on top of it, and that'll basically be the distraction for the last efforts of that. But, of course, it'll incrementally come in, and Israel will be the main force to go in against Iran, but America will back them and take the complete cost and blame and everything, and it's absolutely ridiculous. So they're crazy, and this is what they discuss. And how's MasterChef? Good? Yeah. Still drinking your fluoride? Good. Stay in line. And Senator Kerry was there, and he may be brought in as vice president to Obama and Biden off the ticket, but they seem to be steering away from it and really going with Mitt Romney. Mind you, he hasn't officially won. That's a lie. He's won the beauty contest. Ron Paul's still gaining delegates. And everyone that they've claimed that Romney won, when they actually officially count them later, Ron Paul actually walks away with more. So it still could be a brokered convention come August in Tampa, which means if Romney doesn't have enough, they go back to a revote, but any delegate can vote for anyone, and it completely switch. So in Australia, all we're getting is, yeah, Mitt Romney's the man, and even in the States, but they don't want to have him, and he most likely won't get in because they sabotaged him from the first 3 states. Everyone's like, oh, he's not going to win. I don't want to back the loser, and everyone just ends up backing who they say is the winner. But he isn't out yet, like the media tells you. But Mitch Daniels was there, which, senator from somewhere. I forget where he's from or whether he's senator, but anyway. Mitch Daniels is there, and they reckon Bilderberg Group is going to pick him as running mate for Romney. So, awesome. And, of course, you had Kissinger, the war criminal there, and Bill Gates, which means more vaccines, everyone. So, can't wait for that one. I've actually got now the list. I've got it here. I'll just bring it up. So, oh my God, it exists. Oh, I thought that was a conspiracy theory, even though they got their own bloody website. But anyway. So, some of the ones you got, mainly the USA ones I want to focus at. So you got the Director of National Security, Commissioner for Competition. The list is massive. And these are all conspiring behind closed doors to decide the future of the world, basically. But there's a couple in there that are mainly the American ones because they're violating the Logan Act. And you got the coppers out there arresting people for stepping foot on the street. And guarding basically the criminals outside. So you got Michael Evans from Goldman Sachs. That's your true government, Goldman Sachs. Yes, we're under banker dictatorship. That's like Greece and Italy. Of course, you get prime ministers appointed. In Greece, used to work for Goldman Sachs. In Italy, used to work for Goldman Sachs. But yeah, and they weren't the ones responsible for the complete implosion. No, it's a joke. Yeah, Governor of Indiana, that's who it is. Yeah, Mitchell Daniels. So, yeah, he looks like he's going to be Mitten's running mate. and he's violated the Logan Act. So he's a criminal and he should be locked up. John Huntsman, chairman of the Huntsman Cancer Foundation, he's the one who put out the fake videos on behalf of Ron Paul, said they were Ron Paul's videos, and to make out him being a racist and all that kind of crap. So, but he ended up dropping out straight after that. So he was just in there for a sight. But yeah, he's part of the Cancer Foundation. So that wouldn't be to cure it. That would be to cause it a bit more. But you had journalists. You had people from New York Post, I think, and Washington Post, or there's Washington Times and Washington Post. They had the head people from one of them, so they completely ignored it, but the other one ran mass articles on it. So, yeah, you got all these people there, and just trying to figure out where I am. So, yeah, I guess I'll go to the actual good bit, which is all the protests and the mass awakening. So yeah, you had the whole thing. Basically, Alex Jones put it out. He's the one who basically ran the whole protest, or was at least the leader of the protest. But you had people from every colour, race, religion, didn't matter, and that's what really pisses off the globalists. They hate it because they want divide and conquer. So they act like they create equality when they create division, and multiculturalism to create division, and all these things that are actually just there to divide and distract. They really hate it when everyone wakes up from the left-right paradigm and comes together for liberty and everyone's friends, and it doesn't matter what type of person you are. And it's even left, right, liberal Democrats or Republicans over there. They're all united. So, and it's absolutely awesome. Like they had St. Moritz last year, and that was, well, they didn't get much footage of too many people. It was sort of tucked away, but they had the whole thing perimeter fence. They actually said, "Oh, we're renovating," and kicked everyone out. Well, they got like plainclothes Marines and all this crap. But anyway, I'll go to the video, and this is some of the footage of megaphone bullhorning all globalist scum.
Listen, globalist scum! We don't love your world government, and we want you out of our country! We're tired of your puppet politicians! We're tired of the UN telling Congress they run our military! We're tired of your New World Order, your Agenda 21, your takeover of our country! We have identified you as the criminals! We got the Pentagon documents that you're building re-education camps, and 2 weeks ago the Army admitted they're real. Hey, listen, we're not going to be the ones going to the re-education camps. You're going to get jury trials of your U.S. citizens, and you're going to go to prison. You're going to prison, New World Order. You're going to prison. Do you understand that, you scumbags? Do you understand that, New World Order?
Get him, Alex. So that's basically that. And yeah, it was awesome. I was pretty much up all weekend watching live Ustream and stuff. They'll be going like 8 hours straight, 12 hours straight, doing drive-by bullhorn all night. There was massive. I spoke about that Marine before. Just everyone had bullhorns there. They were just going absolutely nuts. And yeah, this is unprecedented. It's never happened before. But in Australia, we're still debating, why isn't the government listening to us? Why are they bringing in a carbon tax? Well, if we don't recognise that we've actually been taken over and we're run by a world government that's really starting to establish itself, we haven't got a hope. So we've got to recognise that and really start waking up like they are. So then you have actual articles like this. Conspiracy theorists join the world's elite. Now, think about that headline. They're conspiracy theorists and join the world's elite. Well, how are they conspiracy theorists if it turns out it's real? And you lot said it didn't exist for how many decades? So this is the Jedi mind tricks they try and put out the stealth psyop. So unsuspecting people reading it, subconsciously they're like, oh, it's the conspiracy theorists, so they're completely discredited. Even though they're completely credible now, because now it's all admitted and they were right the whole time. So it goes through. There are things going on at the Bilderberg conference in Virginia today that most of us will never learn about, such as who among the attendees got the sole presidential suite at the host hotel, the Four Georgian Marriott. Was it the Queen of Netherlands, the President of the World Bank, the Executive Chairman of Google, or perhaps Henry Kissinger? Well, yeah, they're all there. And it basically paints like what's actually going on. And they're all there, and they're all doing this, but it's good now. So you're a conspiracy theorist before because it didn't exist, but now it does exist, but you're a conspiracy theorist because you don't think that them getting together to decide humanity's fate isn't good. They're the professionals. So, and this is, so you end up with people like this, like Tucker Carlson's Daily Caller. You had an ambush type thing. Alex Jones on, it would have been the Friday protest, I think, going in, well, he was walking up ready to bullhorn, but he was going live on the radio, and he got ambushed by one of Tucker Carlson's Daily Caller people, the Daily Caller people, asking him ridiculous questions. So how much money are you making off this protest? It's its own media. You got to run it yourself. You're not paid by Goldman Sachs to put out propaganda. You got to fund the whole operation yourself. Of course, you got to make money out of it. He just goes down this line, but Alex absolutely buries him. It's brilliant.
Media.
Alex,
Shot of the dinosaur media.
Alex, is it true Chuck Norris is going to be here today?
That'd be great if Chuck Norris showed up.
No, at part of the conference.
I doubt that. No, I hadn't heard that. What are you guys with, like Democrat comedy media?
The Daily Caller. How much have you made off trying to stir up people's emotions and these type of things?
Well, not as much as the bomb makers and globalists that are in here, the trillions they've stolen of taxpayer money. But yeah, freedom is successful. We're starting to beat the globalists. We're exposing their organization.
Alex, if they're so powerful, why would they allow you to protest outside?
Guys, I'm here hanging out with folks. You haven't even told me who you are.
Jeremy Weinstein, Daily Caller.
Well, I'll just tell you. Oh, the fake libertarian group that's always trying.
I just asked a question.
Hey, I thought Tucker Carlson said the Bilderberg group and all this didn't exist.
Why don't you answer the question? If they're so powerful, why would they allow you to protest?
I thought global government and carbon tax.
It's a non sequitur.
Because we have this, the Bill of
Yeah,
Rights,
because our forebears.
Are you kidding? Why shouldn't we shouldn't be sorry.
That's what they're suggesting. That's what you're suggesting.
Group didn't exist, and now it's not that powerful, and we're weird to report on it. Whatever. All the mainline neocons that pose as liberals have got egg on their face because they said none of this stuff existed. Okay, they said
Who said that?
Over and over again. There's no New World Order. There's no global government.
Whoever said the Bilderbergs didn't exist?
No government.
Whoever said the Bilderbergs?
Like our government.
Whoever said the Bilderbergs?
Al Qaeda in charge in all these countries, and this is what they do. And then they're so angry that America's waking up to the fake left and the fake right, and waking up to the New World Order.
Can you say?
Like, Bilderberg group, if they're so powerful, how are you able? Because there's still a lot of freedom left in our republic, and because we're breathing life into the Second Amendment and the First Amendment and the nullification 10th Amendment, the sleeping giant that is our republic is rising. And
my question.
Media hates the fact that they do not control the paradigm anymore. They absolutely hate the fact that free humanity is waking up and is rising. Is Paul Watson still rolling there on the radio? Okay, good. Listen, I'll talk to you later if you're still here, but I can't talk to you right now, okay? I got a bunch of stuff I got to do.
So, yeah, who said that? Who said that? We'll check this one out. This is the anchor from MSNBC.
Would you mind if I could ask you a question? It's just a very simple one. One thing that always perplexes me is there never a discussion about secret societies like the Bohemian Grove and Bilderberg Group and the role they play in our media and our politics. Have you ever heard of Bohemian Grove or Bilderberg Group, or do you think there's a secret society out there?
No, I don't think any of them matter in any way.
I mean, Newt Gingrich belongs to one of them, the Bohemian Grove, and I asked him about it, and he was very adamant about not saying anything.
Everybody knows everything about Bohemian Grove. It's a odd group of naked men, and it means nothing.
Then we have the Bilderberg Group that openly said that they chose John Edwards.
I have no idea what that is.
If I could just tell you, it's a meeting of the most influential people in the world.
It's not.
Yes, it is.
I have no idea what it is, so it's not.
A lot of the top executives in the mainstream media attend this meeting. We're talking about the heads of media. It's in secret locations every year. This year it was in Switzerland.
People are lying to you.
I attended the meeting in Switzerland.
No, you didn't.
Covered it.
You didn't see a single media person going to a secret.
He was in there. Madeleine Albright was in there. What's it called? Many journalists have attended. The New York Times editor has been to the secret
What is
society
secret
meeting.
about it?
The mainstream media doesn't report on it and hasn't reported on it. People don't talk about it, and every time I go up to one of these representatives, like Ben Bernanke, like Madeleine Albright, and I ask them what has happened, Rick Perry.
Someone who knows something about it. I don't know anything about it.
I mean, you're in the media. I'm just trying to have a dialogue with you about...
the world is simpler. I believe the world is simpler than you think. And the things that you don't like in the world are usually explained by stupidity. Evil explains next to nothing in the world. It used to explain a lot. It used to explain most of the world. But as we've evolved...
And it basically goes on like that, and he just says, it doesn't exist because I haven't heard about it, and will you look into it? No, I'm too lazy for that. So that's mainstream media for you. But then you end up actually having real journalism, and funnily enough, it comes out of Russia Today, RT. Now, you know we're pretty stuffed when we actually have to depend on the Russians to be the reliant source on information. We've come a long way. So they actually had RT there, and they were free to just actually write on it exactly how they've seen it. So... they had this chick there, and, yeah, she was doing a fair few interviews, but she was also an activist. Now, RT is semi-mainstream, really. Like, they're on big networks as far as I know, and they actually covered it properly. So here's some of what actually really covering it looks like and sounds like.
And Alex Jones to check things out, that's for sure. Abby, thanks for keeping us updated. That was RT correspondent Abby Martin.
Every year, about 130 of the world's most powerful elite players in banking, mining,
this is on the first day, so there's not many people here at the moment.
Meet in secret
the Saturday had, or the Sunday had the most, I think, or Saturday.
This year, they're meeting in Chantilly, Virginia, at the Westfields Marriott. It's called the Bilderberg Group, and hundreds of protesters are here right now protesting the secrecy.
Politicians politicians and the New World Order.
Some of the protesters speculate on why it's so secret.
When you're discussing foreign policy, you're talking about manipulating the prices of oil, the price of gold. When you're trying to select presidents and prime ministers and these sorts of things, it has to be done in secret because these are the things that the people are not necessarily for.
Even though no corporate media was present, there was a multitude of citizen journalists covering the event.
Good works are done in light, so what's done in darkness needs to be brought to light, and something like this, like the Bilderberg meeting, should be exposed, and it's up to us, citizen media, to be out here and expose this.
We don't want you to get hit by a vehicle.
Oh, is that what it is? Other independent journalists have confronted members of the Bilderberg group to try to get answers themselves.
Sometimes they just straight up lie. Sometimes they catch themselves in lying, and it's very interesting. It's very telling. I mean, people can make up their own minds. When you see a Bilderberg member being confronted by a journalist about what they did here, the reaction is very telling.
Alex Jones, host of The Alex Jones Show, speculates on the policy that's being planned at the Bilderberg meetings this year.
They're trying to push a global bank as the solution to all our problems that they created. They're openly trying to push more police state systems. They want to end internet freedom. They want to bring in internet IDs. Members of the Bilderberg group have said this.
Others say that the Bilderberg group is not so much a nefarious conspiracy to control humanity, but just more a consolidation of power.
The actual conspiring is kind of not a nature of there's a conspiracy for this or for that, as much as a continuous nature of the superclass of the most rich and powerful people in the world colluding to continue and perpetuate their own power. I mean, as simple as that.
Regardless, more and more people are focusing attention on the group, which might have the Bilderberg participants worried.
The people of the planet are waking up and getting past the puppets. This is about saying, hey, the puppets in D.C. are just front men. We can't hold them accountable because they're bought and paid for by these criminals that at these meetings buy them off.
It should be an interesting weekend as hundreds of protesters are expected to join those already here. Abby Martin, RT, Chantilly, Virginia.
Now we got Alex Jones believes Bilderberg attendees shipping gold-covered roasted babies to eat. Well, they do ship in the babies. They are wrapped in gold. They are for the world's richest elite. But he's a kook because he mentions it on a megaphone over a whole weekend, doing it 12 hours each day, constantly bullhorning people, and they pick this one little bit out to try and discredit him when it doesn't really discredit him. It just brings to the light of the fact that these people are psychopaths. This is it. So they take an article, like it's from a real article. It happened, but because he spoke about it and it sounds ridiculous, they're going to discredit him. So here's some of what he was saying, and you can see that if there's a whole day of bullhorning, how just different subjects would come up, because he's literally screaming at the police that are actually protecting these people, and these are the kind of psychopaths they are.
Yeah. Y'all are complicit now, too. Defense contractor.
This is just a person going to pick somebody up. They're probably bringing them some child or rape or something in the trunk. No, I'm not kidding. These people are sick. Every week they catch them shipping little babies in, wrapped in gold foil for these guys to eat. They admit that's where it goes to. I mean, you cannot make this up. You think I'm talking about babies rolled in gold foil for them to eat? I'm not joking about that. All right, this officer's laughing at me. $10,000 they try to ship in roasted babies wrapped in gold foil for them to eat. $10,000 right now. Because you will lose the bet.
So yeah, like this is how the mainstream prostitute trader stream media tries to spin things and just make people look like idiots, when all it does is just bring credibility to him. So that's that one on Bilderberg. Now, here's an AFP staffer, American Free Press, been actually hogtied. Now police hogtie because, you know, land of the free, home of the brave. That's what they do. And That's okay. It's for the dirty hippies who protest.
Brutality.
It was a ritual murder.
Did I just see that?
You fucking Nazis, motherfuckers!
Yeah, hogtied. So yeah, that's that's an absolute joke, but that's what you get when you go into a police state, and as long as you got your bread and circus, you're all right. So that's pretty much Bilderberg over the whole weekend. So overall, I guess the awakening that it created and mainstream media actually having to address it is a massive, massive victory. So let's just hope this puts at least a damper and slows down what the globalists are trying to push through. But the biggest one is this economic collapse and just trying to push through World War III. It's no simple way of putting it. It's just crazy. In other news, the Orient Hotel, the pub still operates today and now also includes a cafe, the Ori Cafe. No bands are allowed to perform in the pub as it is run by wankers and cunts, according to Wikipedia. Moving on. Of course, I got all my stuff out of order. There was one thing left on Bilderberg, and that was Bilderberg members discuss killing Ron Paul. And Jim Tucker, who has covered Bilderberg been there every single year, and he's basically gotten the intel on what's happened and been accurate every year. He's getting pretty well on now, smokes like a chimney, and yeah, he didn't seem all the best at this, but this was his inside information.
Jim Tucker, your source gave you some amazing information concerning Ron Paul and his supporters directly from the Bilderberg group in the lobby shooting their mouths off. What did they say?
They said some very harsh things, obviously, about Ron Paul because he's our leading patriot in Congress who stopped the Law of the Sea Treaty ratification, which is dear to their bloody hearts. So, the harshest comment made was by a guy who said he'd like to get Ron Paul and all of his supporters on one airplane with a Muslim suicide pilot and take them down. That was the harshest comment made, but there were a lot of mean-spirited comments made as the Bilderberg boys gathered in the lobby of the hotel.
So they're very upset about just the liberty movement in general.
Yes, they are. They're outraged, they're angry, and they're very depressed about the whole liberty. They're very upset with all these patriotic Americans resisting their program, and the fact that the Americans are so successful at it because the program planned by Bilderberg has been set back for years, and every year it gets worse, and every year they get more depressed, and every year they get more outraged. So we're winning, they're losing.
AmericanFreePress.net, you got big reports coming out there. Jim, we're going to debrief each other tonight. Sorry I didn't get over here last night. There were arrests and stuff, and I had to stay up there till 9:30 or past, and then had a bunch of other equipment crises. Had to go find a Walmart and find some equipment. But any other tidbits that your sources are giving you from inside? Are they more distraught than last year?
They get more distraught every year.
All right, Jim Tucker, thank you very much.
So most years they get plenty more out of him, but that was the main one. That was on Friday that they got that out. But so if that ends up happening, you know you know who did that one. So moving on to US pushes Australia to take command of Afghanistan. The federal government has bowed to United States pressure and will take full control of military operations in Afghanistan's Uruzgan province as international forces prepare to withdraw from the country over the next 2 years. Now, this is straight out of the Sydney Morning Herald on June 1. For the first time since Australian troops were deployed to the southern province 8 years ago, Australian commanders will also direct US, Afghan, Singaporean and Slavic soldiers. The Defence Minister Stephen Smith denied the decision would increase the danger faced by more than 1,500 Australian troops now operating in Afghanistan or require additional forces to be deployed. And just goes on with all the usual jargon. What this decision does is put us in the driving seat to control the interaction with those processes over the next year or so. So that's great. Yeah, so we're going to take over and, of course, probably fund it and go more into debt. So we can protect the opium. Don't believe me?
All right. One of the biggest obstacles in front of the U.S. troops there in Afghanistan is the opium trade. The Taliban is using it to intimidate the population.
Joining us from Helmand Province is Geraldo Rivera. Good morning to you, Geraldo. Tell us what you've seen during your days there in Afghanistan.
Hi, Allison, Dave, and Clayton. Yes, in some ways, the Marines' brilliantly executed invasion of Marja, this town in the middle of Helmand Province, was the easy part. The hard part now is governing this province, a province, as you suggest, that has become addicted to opium in many, many ways. That is the principal crop that is being grown here. The Taliban lend the farmers the money. They are indebted to the Taliban. They have to grow the opium. Now the Marines, in their success, are in a sense a victim of their success, because now the population is, they have these opium fields, and we are tolerating it. We are tolerating the cultivation of the opium because we know that if we were to destroy it now, the population would turn against the Marines, and it would be a real security risk. Let me introduce Lieutenant Colonel Brian Christmas. He's the commanding officer of the 3rd Battalion, 6th Marines. Really a wonderful group of Marines here. I know that you care deeply about this contradiction, the fact that here you have one of the best fighting forces in the world ever mounted, and in a sense you're watching as this opium is being grown. I know it grinds at your gut. How do you deal with it? What are you doing about it?
Well, frankly, this is a part of their culture. So while it might grind in my gut, it's what they do.
Yeah.
We provide them security, we're providing them resources, and we're providing them alternatives. And the alternatives are different crops to grow. They're getting the seed and the fertilizer to do it. They can rotate any of their crops that they want. If they want to get rid of their wheat and grow cotton for the winter, they can do that, and we're going to help them do it. So the same thing goes for the poppy.
So you think that, we were at the market, and everywhere we go, they're selling these little devices. Take a shot at this, Greg. They're hand-carved. These are the little devices they use to scrape the opium sap off the plant. And I watched as you bought every one that was for sale because you care so deeply. Why did you do that?
I want them off the street. The idea is that we don't want to harvest the poppy. We want to, hopefully turn the poppy over and put some wheat, cotton, watermelon, cucumber. It's all great stuff they grow out here. We just want to see that come to fruition and the poppy just to go away.
How do you separate the good guys from the bad guys? I watched that checkpoint you had. The cars are out on the road. That's the good news. The bazaars are coming back to life. That's the good news. But I don't know, how in the world do you tell a Taliban from a guy who just lives in the neighborhood?
You don't. They do. And I'll tell you, the majority of those people are good people. The ones that are bad are really bad, and they've convinced some of the good people to be bad. Follow that. Bottom line is most of them are on the fence, and it's just a matter of showing them the good, showing them the fact that the Giro government is here, is going to make a difference, that we're here to help them with that security and those resources, but they're the ones that are going to make the difference. There are a few bad people. The majority of them are good.
But I fault the politicians for putting the Marines in this position, where we can't eradicate these crops for security reasons, and these guys, after winning the war, in a sense, now have to fight this fight. But next year, hopefully, it'll be better. I just want to quickly pan around, see some of the 3rd Battalion 6th Rangers, the Master Gunnery Sergeant.
The fine protectors of the drug war.
Next to him is Captain Black.
So because that was coming out, they decided, we'll do a news piece. Now all the troops are like, well, if it's on the news, that's good, that's normal. So now they grow it, they ship it out, then arrest you for having it, throw you in the jail, then you work at slave labour wages to make the military equipment and uniforms and stuff for the military. Yeah, they got a great system, but now opium trade used to be like 10% came out of Afghanistan. Since the troops been there, 90. So that's the war that we're fighting. So you go get them troops fighting for democracy and growing opium. And it's, of course, all in the guise of 9/11 to get bin Laden because, that was those dirty brown people and solely them. And it couldn't have been the American government. Like, no one could possibly know that that would ever happen. Like, you just couldn't predict it. Except for Alex Jones in June of 2001, who warned they're going to stage another 9/11. Oh, another 9/11. No, they're going to stage another Oklahoma City bombing or World Trade Center bombing. But you had the first failed attempt that was in 1991 or whatever. So they're saying they're going to do that, and they're going to blame it on the CIA's asset, Osama bin Laden. Everyone call the White House, call Congress now. We know you're going to stage a false flag and do it to take away all of our liberties. Here it is.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm so glad that you could join us today for this Wednesday, July 25th, 2001 broadcast. Tyranny is enveloping the globe, and the United States is a shining jewel the globalists want to bring down, and they will use terrorism as the pretext to get it done. So that's coming up in the second half of the show. Very important information. I'm going to put the call out that you call the White House and tell them, look, we've seen the news stories that you've wanted to blow things up, that you have blown things up, and that you're saying that 4 million of us are going to die and we need martial law and the Associated Press at one of your little drills you had, and that we're aware of who the terrorists are if you pull this. This can stop this Hitlerian Reichstag event. I want to put the toll-free number up for Congress. And I won't want you to believe Alex Jones. I want you to go get these news stories off my website. I want you to call these major newspapers. I want you to find out these statements were true by the White House about preparing for martial law. And I want you to let them know that if there is any terrorism, we know who to blame. The point is, if any terrorism comes, it's from this government. And if there was an outside threat like a bin Laden, who was a known CIA asset in the 80s, running the Mujahideen war, and whose family builds all the military bases over in Saudi Arabia right now, and sits on the board of Iridium Satellite, he's the boogeyman they need in this Orwellian phony system. Boy, you're in a lot of trouble, and so are we. But we got to speak out, and it's the only thing we can do. All right, let's go to the FEMA piece and maybe something else. I want to take a break. We'll come back in the last 12 minutes or so, and I promise go to your calls. And I want the White House numbers up there now. A big part of this solution, after you research all the government terrorism and check out what I'm saying is true, call the White House and tell them, we know the government's planning terrorism. We know Oklahoma City and World Trade Center was terrorism. We know the Joint Chiefs of Staff wanted to blow up airliners, Baltimore Sun. If you do it, we're going to blame you because we know who's up to it. Or if you let some terrorist group do it, like the World Trade Center, we know who to blame. And you could save the planet. I'm calling it Operation Expose the Government Terrorist. Because now they're going from killing 160 people at Oklahoma City and 81 at Waco and a couple dozen injuring 1,000 at the World Trade Center to saying 1 to 4 million. Associated Press. There's the White House number. Your faxes are really important. And there's the Capitol Hill switchboard for your congressman. We're going to leave that up throughout the FEMA broadcast. We'll be right back with your calls. Thank you for staying with us. I'm Alex Jones, and I'm not putting this in a bad light. I'm simply stating what's happening.
So there you go. So that's why we're over there growing the opium, and of course they're taking away all your rights to protect you from the brown people. Next article I got is by Elaine Ormsby on June 1, The New Underbelly. And it goes through the whole idea of bringing in internet censorship, and we need to do it for the children, and there's all drugs and guns and all this kind of stuff. So it's called the dark web, and once you are in, you can buy people, drugs, guns, and even have someone killed. The problem is, what can law enforcers do about it? Yes, it's reefer madness. They are really trying hard with this one, and this comes straight out of, well, this is a globalist propaganda piece, because I'll show you why in a second. Deep in cyberspace is a web of private networks. Might actually bring the article up for you. Sydney Morning Herald. It is a place where freedom of speech is absolute. Oh, I'll go back a bit. Deep in cyberspace is a web of private networks hosting sites that Google will never find and videos that YouTube will never play. We need to censor this internet. Within this web, drugs and guns are bought and sold. Well, yeah, some countries you can buy those things because they're legal, you know. Hitmen advertise their services. Hackers can be hired to attack an enemy's computer. And pornographic images to satisfy the most depraved taste can be downloaded. Is that illegal? No. It is a place where freedom of speech is absolute and unconstrained. That's right. We need to get rid of that freedom of speech, because you saying those naughty words, that's going to ruin the world. Like, this is the actual language they're starting to use. We must stay one step ahead of the terrorists and organised criminals who threaten our national security. Well, yeah. And that's Miss Roxon. Nicola Roxon. Great. Well, yous are the terrorists. Yous are the ones bringing in Agenda 21 and carbon taxes and all this crap. So you think of that as just, yeah, an Australian article, right? Well, I wonder where it sort of that idea came from. Mind you, coming out at the exact same time, you can start seeing these are all one world policies, and they've got to sort of twist them in different countries depending on what the opinion state is of the country that you're putting it in. So America just comes out and straight for hell for leather. They mask it here as, oh, we're gonna get the those people who talk naughty and get all the criminals, and yeah, it's gonna be a divide and conquer for them. It's for them people, when it's just to bring in internet IDs and have the free web actually regulated and tracked. So then I am all over the place. Where is it? you have jewels like this. Congress to consider giving more control of internet to UN. Critics say plan would make it easier for other countries to silence dissidents. Like, this is some really scary language. By Jasmine Melvin at Reuters. So MSNBC's just brought it up from Reuters. US lawmakers will delve on Thursday into an international debate on whether to hand more control of the internet to the United Nations, a move many fear would turn it into a political bargaining chip for censorship and global taxes on web companies. US government officials are gearing up for a December meeting in Dubai where delegations from 193 countries will discuss whether the UN should have more say over how the internet is organised and controlled. Critics say that under such a regime, each nation, regardless of size, has one vote, which could give China, Russia, Iran, Saudi Arabia and other countries greater ability to isolate their populations and silence political dissidents. What about the Western nations and their votes adding into it and being able to silence political dissidents here in Australia, America, England? Basically everywhere where they're bringing in a nanny police state and all the carbon taxes and Agenda 21 to basically shut us down into a post-industrial world and so we can't fight back. Well, they do things like black bag political dissidents. What proponents of internet freedom do or don't What proponents of internet freedom do or don't do between now and then will determine the fate of the net, affect global economic growth, and determine whether political liberty can proliferate. Robert McDowell, a Republican commissioner on the Federal Communications Commission, said in testimony prepared for Thursday's hearing. And they're going to have a world conference on international telecommunications. This is one of those circumstances where I think it's fair to say there's absolute anonymity. I don't believe you'd find any dissent to the view that we would like to keep the internet free of intergovernmental controls. Yes, sure. The internet is currently policed loosely, with technical bodies such as Internet Engineering Task Force, the Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers, and the World Wide Web Consortium largely dictating its infrastructure and management. The United States holds significant sway with those bodies. So, basically, UN control the internet. How's MasterChef going? Awesome. So that would basically shut down what I'm doing here. You actually go back to the Stalinist Soviet system where you actually can only have one kind of news. You're only allowed to have the information that they let you have, and that's why they want to shut down the web. But they bring in, like, they mention things like, oh yes, and they always bring up, oh, we've got to do something about the internet because the pedophiles can run free and social networking, and they prey on children. WorldNet Daily. Facebook becomes haven for pedophiles. Shocking report shows how child porn traded in plain sight. That's because they let the pedophiles run free. Problem, reaction, solution. They can do that. That's all right. And everyone starts screaming, do something about it. We need the government to do something about it. Okay, we'll come in and regulate the internet. Like, they let the pedophiles run free when they got the power to do something with it, but they want to regulate it for the rest of us. It's, again, as I say, an absolute joke. Now, an article that was, This was in Sunday's paper, the Sunday Telegraph, June 3rd, by Brianna Domjen. Cops in Rego stick up as fears for illegal vehicles grow. Yes, they're really creating a good one with this. Police fear the number of unregistered vehicles cruising the state's streets will increase when the government repeals registration stickers next year. So what they're doing, this is another problem, reaction, solution scenario. They've wanted, and the solution being what you want. So you create the problem reaction to get your solution in the end. So they've wanted to get in the number plate trackers. So whenever you're driving around, you can constantly be tracked, and they can just run your number plate through, and it instantly picks up on a computer who you are and what you're doing and whether you have any outstanding anything. No warrant, no nothing. You're now guilty until you prove your innocence. So they want to bring it, and it's part of the whole police state control grid. So they want to bring in the number plate scanners. How do we do it? We get rid of the rego stickers to get a rise in the number of unregistered vehicles. Then everyone goes, there's too many unregistered vehicles. They're going to kill someone. Oh, think of the children. And then they go, we've got a solution. We'll bring in our number plate tracking systems. Yay, trendy technology. Every bit of technology you get now, every single thing that they let you have is a surveillance system. And finally tonight, we got a victory as such, if it's really true. KFC commits to non-GM Australian canola oil, but many others fry in GM cottonseed and canola oil. Gene Ethics congratulates KFC for its move to Australian non-genetically manipulated, non-GM high oleic canola oil this week. Chief KFC Supply Chain Officer Michael Clark says that at this stage the company will not buy non-GM canola oils. Some consumers find it important that it's non-GM, and if we can source non-GM canola, we'll continue to do so. Awesome! This is good news, as it should be possible, as far less than 10% of Australian canola is GM. Now, I went to KFC and dealt with a 15-year-old manager or whatever I was, and going, so are you using the Aussie canola oil? Is it non-GM, or do you have any labelling for that? It's like, what's GM? Fair enough, they do hide it from us. So I ended up leaving my name and number and got a phone call from the main manager there, and he rang and assured me, and he spoke to the main supplier, gave me the supplier's number. I haven't called him, but he assured me, yes, we're not using GM, should I say. So I'm just trying to figure out the 24th of May. And that was about the time I inquired. So I don't know if many people actually just sort of inquired around that time and pretty much put it to them, but they've put this out there straight away. So as simply as sitting around doing nothing, well, nothing gets done, and you just go further into tyranny. It just shows how much power you have by just standing up. And they've actually had to put this out. McDonald's hasn't done it or anything like that. It's just KFC's come out as they've announced their canola oil. So now, hopefully, they actually label it. Because if it's labelled, that means it's going to be on everything, and all the 15-year-olds that don't know what it is, suddenly you'll have all over the country the non-GM label everywhere. So it'll really wake up a lot of people. So I think that's an awesome victory for liberty. So I think that will do us tonight. That's all we've basically got. Covered Bilderberg, which is the most important, and may continue on next year. They may get their World War III before the end of the year, and let's hope they don't take out Ron Paul or bring in World War III, or Bill Gates pushes for more vaccines one way or another, or anything that I covered before. So I'd like to thank you for watching, and good night, and I'll see you all next time. Thank you.